Hey guys, it's Mr. Schultz, and I am here to kind of walk you through how to use this website to help you with your kind of melting pot versus salad bowl assignment. So, first of all, you should have clicked on the link that brought you to this page, all right? It should be posted on Canvas. So, if you haven't done that, this is going to be really confusing, so make sure you've done that. All right, so what we have here is basically um, University of Charlotte has put together this really neat interactive map of all this data about Charlotte. And so what we're going to be using it for is to kind of dive into that question. Is America, and maybe more specifically, is Charlotte what we would call the melting pot or a salad bowl, right? Are we this unique blend of all these different cultures and ethnicities that have come together to form something beautiful and cool? Or I guess on the flip side, are we this mixing of all these different cultures and ethnicities that has basically kind of removed a lot of the uniqueness, depending on how you want to look at that analogy? Or are we a salad bowl? All right. I remember the salad bowl analogy is kind of talking about this idea of, all right, we're all in this together, yet we're all kind of a little bit separate, right? We're in the bowl like a salad would be, but we still have croutons and lettuce and cucumbers and carrots and tomatoes. And all together we work, but we maintain that uniqueness. Again, that's a positive way to look at it. Or the negative way, which should be kind of like we are here but we don't mingle very well and we stay very separate. All right. So again, depending on how you want to look at either of those analogies, you can find the positive side or the negative side. Now, let's talk about what this is going to do for us. So hopefully your screen looks like mine after you've clicked on the link. What you're going to want to do is scroll down, and what you should come to is mine defaulted to look something like this. Okay. What this is you'll see this huge map of Charlotte, and it's broken up into all these little sections, right? NPA 73, all right, or NPA whatever. And so what happens is it mine defaulted, and I think yours would as well, is to what rate to the race and ethnicity of white or Caucasian. And so the information you're seeing in front of you on this map is the areas of each one of these little zones and what percentage of them consist of, has a white population. So if we click on this one, NPA 73, 39.2% of the people living in that zone or that area are white. Now, if you start looking over here at this bar, you'll notice the colors are different. Here's what the colors mean. Darker the color, the higher the percentage. So something that's super dark blue is an area where you're going to find a large percentage of the population is going to be white, or all the way down here, the almost white is going to be essentially nobody there happens to be white or Caucasian. Now, what's kind of neat about this bar is this. So you'll notice everything's blue right now, but if I were to put my cursor over this, all right, you see the yellow. What that's telling me is those are the areas of Charlotte that match that criteria. All right, and that's going to be really helpful for you when you're doing your assignment for this. All right, or I go down here and I'll find the areas that are the highest concentrations. And already, just based on the little screen that we're looking at, you can begin to see a pretty interesting dynamic emerging, right? Hmm, this is where the least concentration is, and this is where the highest concentration is. All right, again, this might not be shocking to you. It may not be new to you, but this is at least giving you a visual of what this looks like. Now, if we come up here, all right, you'll notice all these different little things up here, and I can click on them, and what will happen is it will switch, right? It will take this and switch it to, let's go ahead and click on, let's see, Asian. Now, a couple things about when we're talking about Asia. Don't forget, Asia is this gigantic continent, right? So there's people from who might be from Southeast Asia. There might be people from the Middle East. There might be people from the kind of subcontinent of India. Asia is so large that like it's almost unfair and ridiculous that it's put as one category when even within that one area is so much diversity, right? Hopefully that makes sense. But you'll notice is this. One, you don't see as nearly as many areas of heavy concentration as you did for whites. All right. And even when we start clicking on the numbers, they do not come, for whites, we're talking some places like 85, 75%. Even the most intense areas are only in the 40s and 30s. So again, that even tells you a little bit about how this works. All right. So this is how you change to do the different ethnicities that you need to do for your chart. Now, here's the thing let's go back to whites because that gives us there's so many more options, so many more colors. What you'll notice too is this, right? you will see that they're big pockets. That may not mean a lot to you, but what's neat about this map is you can zoom in. So I got to scroll on my mouse that allows me to do that. But if you don't, if you're using your Chromebook, you can hit the zoom in feature. All right, and let's do this. All right, you can drag and pull. All right, and that way you can zero in on areas of high concentration and keep zooming in and keep zooming in, and you'll start to see, hey, these words popping up. Those are neighborhoods. All right, you can zoom in even more, and then we're literally getting down to streets. So now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're taking this area as a whole, not necessarily block to block. So just keep that in mind. But what you can begin to see is, all right, if we keep scrolling in, we'll notice, all right, now we have, I'm just doing this to make it contrast and easier to see. If you put the cursor over here, now you have the names of neighborhoods. You have things like Barclay Downs, you have Carmel, you have Beverly Woods, you have Spring Valley. Those are neighborhoods that you can begin to use to fill in your chart. All right, hopefully that makes some sense. And then when it comes time to look for areas of least concentration, you just zoom out and then you can start zooming back in. So keep in mind, like this would be the area considered least, and we're talking about areas with 3.8%. Now, if we go back here and contrast that with something like we were just looking at, we're talking 93%. It's a pretty big difference. And so what you'll basically wind up doing is doing that process for each one of the ethnic groups. Now, the last thing I want you to do, or we want you to do, is we want you to also look at your neighborhood. So let's zoom in a little bit and see if we can find the East Mac neighborhood. So there's Independence there. So I'm trying to get my bearing on this thing. Monroe Road, Parkview East. All right. I think this is right. Yeah, right here, basically. Yeah. So this is more or less the East Mac area, right? So if we start looking at the East Mac area, all right, we'll notice among whites, 80.7% on this side of Monroe. All right. And over here, it's 56% white. So interesting that East Mac, all right, and the immediate neighborhood around it is fundamentally different than the population distribution of the actual school. All right. So what you want to do is then you want to pick your neighborhood. So if you go to East, you might be living close by. You can kind of figure this out. If you live further away, go into your neighborhood. But again, we want to kind of see and get a sense of what it's like in your specific neighborhood. And all this information will come together to help you do that assignment, that kind of quick writing about, all right, or excuse me, the discussion board about, all right, what are we? Like, what is Charlotte? Are we a mixing, a melting pot or a salad bowl? Which one are we? All right, I'm hoping this has made it a little bit easier for you to figure out how to use this thing. I think it's really straightforward. I think it's intuitive. But if you guys have questions, just don't be afraid to reach out. But I think you guys are smart enough and technologically savvy enough. And this is easy enough to understand that you should be good. All right, guys, see you later.